Hey everybody, it's Daasity Dan here with another edition of Data Gotchas, and today I'm going to be talking about Google Analytics and why this is probably one of the most important things that you need to set up in your Shopify store when you get started. But even then, for a lot of merchants that have been around for a while, I would definitely highly recommend that you go back and take it and go back and look and make sure that you've got everything set up correctly. What are the three things that are really important? One, make sure you've turned on all of the e-commerce analysis sections. Two, make sure you've updated or set your referral exclusion lists. And number three, let's make sure that you've got your default channel grouping set up properly. So we're going to use this store, our Chakra Stone Candles, which is a store that we use here at Daasity to make sure that we understand everything about all the different platforms that work with Shopify. We're going to go into the admin and first navigate to the view. So in the view over here, I'm going to go to my e-commerce settings, and I'll see that I've got to make sure I've got this enable e-commerce turned on and this enable enhanced e-commerce reporting turned on. And why is it really important to do both? E-commerce allows you to go and track the transactions that are on your site, and then enhanced e-commerce allows you to see things like how are your product pages performing. Now, how does Google Analytics work? It works by having JavaScript that is on your site and actually triggers Google. It sends Google data because of that JavaScript. And that's really important to understand, because if something doesn't allow that JavaScript to run, say a browser like DuckDuckGo, or somebody that doesn't allow JavaScript to run in their browser, then that data is not going to get to Google. And what does that mean? That's why when you're in your Shopify store, you might see things like orders and revenue look higher in Shopify than they are in Google Analytics. Second, it's really important because as with most of us on Shopify, right, we go and we allow for people to make payments through something like PayPal. And so it's really important that I go into the tracking info and into the referral exclusion list and add those sites, especially my site, and then those that may redirect payment approvals. Because if I don't, and I'm a consumer and I pay through PayPal, it's going to now think when I go to PayPal and I come back that order was a result of PayPal. And that means that we've lost information around where that consumer originally came from in order to make that purchase. Did they come from a paid ad? Did they come from organic or some other source? All it does now is think that it came from PayPal. And then lastly, it's really important that we go back into the view and we set up our channel mapping in the channel settings. So we're going to navigate to the channel settings, go into channel grouping, and click into the default channel grouping. And there's two that I highly recommend that you put at the top. One is paid search. So make sure that you go and modify your paid search, especially if you're going to do something in Bing, because this is one where we found that Google isn't always the best. Bing's working really hard to fix this. Put in Bing/CPC or whatever you might use as the URL terms within your Bing ads. The other one is your paid social. So Google doesn't understand paid social. They just think Facebook is Facebook. And for us in the e-commerce side, there's the stuff that we're trying to get that organic traffic through our Facebook or our Instagram posts. And there's the stuff that we're paying for. And so they don't really know how to differentiate those two. And so it's really important that you come in and create a paid social channel with something like your source medium is going to be Facebook/CPC. And that's critical because now that's going to enable us to really track and properly measure our return on ad spend and our cost per order for both our organic social, where we're not paying anything, and our paid social. Have any questions about Google Analytics, how to think about your e-commerce store and run analytics? Come check us out at Daasity.com or drop us a line.